Everyone online and is being recorded. Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you do the roll call, please?
Sure. Councilwoman Fareed, Councilwoman Guillaume, Councilman Hairston, Councilman Herring,
Here.
Councilwoman Jones, Council Vice President Ferguson, Council President Curtis.
Here.
All are here. Quorum.
Adopt the agenda. Second.
Second.
Guillaume. So there was work on the you. Based on protocol, you would like to table this until the work session? Okay. So you would like it tabled?
Spoke about the 500 and are we going to wait till fall? She said she was going to bring it. Why didn't somebody object to it last week when she mentioned that?
Councilwoman Jones.
I tend to agree with Councilman Herring. This has been going on for at least the last 4 years. Ward 3 streets paved from Bright Seat Road. From what I understand, the holdup for this resolution last week was we wanted to get the lowest price. We were going to ride on a bid from NZI, which we did. They had to submit the documentation for the monies and for how much it was going to cost us to do the actual the area that we wanted done. And like I said, this has been going on for the last. I'll even go back as far as former Councilwoman Pfeiffer. She was the one that's always asked about getting Ward 3 streets done. They start, they stop, and now that we have someone that can do it, a person that can do it, NZI. We're riding on a contract from the county. This is nothing but having the street paved from Glenarden Parkway to Jeff Road. There's nothing else hidden in here other than having that done. I don't understand why we just can't accept this resolution and move forward. And also, I wanted to be a sponsor on this resolution.
Okay. Councilwoman Fareed.
Yes, and to be clear, it's not the contents of the resolution that is of concern, it's the protocol that we're following. We have been saying this entire, at least since I've been a part of this administration, that the proper process is that we have to allow a period of time for citizens to review, do research if they needed to, and then be able to comment. But it seems that we want to suspend that tonight, which I'm actually fine with in terms of protocol for certain types of resolutions, as I've been an advocate for in the past. I'm just urging us to be consistent with what our protocol is. And if we're going to allow resolutions to be introduced and citizens' comments received on it in the same time or voted on at the same time, then let's just be consistent in what that is, or at least define the circumstances in which we are allowed to suspend our rules and protocol.
Thank you. And my apologies, I had to be absent last week. It was my understanding that it was brought up, which is why it was on here. I understand, Councilwoman Freed, what you're talking about, because we did go through this earlier in the fiscal year, at the very least, that things should be introduced at a work session so that it can come to a public hearing and then vote on the third week. Would it be a happy medium for citizens to, I do think that is the set protocol, and that will continue, from here on out. Can we settle on giving citizens another opportunity to speak next week before we vote on the legislation? It's on two pieces of legislation, and that'll give citizens extra time, because what we're wanting to do here is give citizens enough time to speak. So if we keep it on the docket for tonight and then give them another chance to speak before the vote next week, would that suffice?
Council President, Mayor,
Councilwoman Guillaume?
that would suffice for me. My concern was the fact that we did have protocol to make sure that citizens had more than a week to comment and sit on.
Okay.
So for me, I'm fine with that.
Council President.
Councilwoman, all right,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Jones?
Okay, yeah, I am a staunch believer in protocol also, but like I said, because the numbers didn't come in, we're dealing with the Easter and then the companies, because the numbers didn't come in until after the work session, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, that in this case, like I said, for what we're doing, we're only milling from Glenarden Parkway to Jeff Road, and it's nothing in here other hidden than that. So, and I am a believer in protocol. We should follow the protocol. But in this case, because the numbers came in late, I'm just asking that we just move forward with it.
Okay.
So I will say that I do think that there are resolutions and circumstances in which a full process, time-consuming process as we've been implementing is not necessary, and I am an advocate for bringing forth resolutions that can be handled expeditiously. I just want to highlight that this is one of those situations, and that I'm in agreement with that, but that there are other types of situations that we could expedite in getting things done by suspending this rigorous protocol that we've placed on every single type of resolution. So things like, for example, the garbage contract that we went over for months, which could have been handled much more expeditiously than it was had we done what we're doing now. So if it is the council's will to go ahead and proceed with getting comments and allow citizens to have comments again, I am totally in support of that. And I'm also in support of, again, us identifying the types of situations that require a full extensive process versus those that can be expedited so that the business of the city can be done.
100% agree. Is that something that you guys are doing on the?
That is that is the topic that came up in the Charter Review Committee
awesome.
and what we will be discussing at next week's regular meeting.
Thank you. And last comment to Vice President Ferguson.
Yes, I just want to say that I do agree with protocol, Councilman Reed and Dion. Also, as Councilman Herring said, this was brought up in the meeting that I had hosted, and the city manager did say that she wanted to bring it to this meeting, and none of us said a word. So, in my opinion, maybe it was thought that it was a go, but we did not object and say anything. So I just want to make that clear.
Okay.
Well, sorry, one more point of clarification. My concern isn't the fact that it's being brought to the public hearing, because per our charter, a resolution can be brought at any public meeting. The concern is the fact that it's on the agenda for citizens' comments.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion outside of what we already discussed for the agenda? Hearing none from the council. We're in a motion right now, Mayor. I can get to you later. Hearing none from the council, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston,
Yes.
Councilman Herring,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferguson,
Yes.
and Council President
Yes. Yes.
voted 7-0 to approve.
Thank you. All right, with that, we're opening up this, I'm sorry. Mayor Cross, did you have something to say?
Thank you, Council President. I just want to know, usually the citizens have an ability to comment on the administrative reports and the mayoral report. It's not in this session. I don't know why it's not there. They were submitted.
This is a public hearing, so typically they have opportunity to speak on the administrative reports at the regular session.
That's next week.
That's next week. All right. All right, now we'll open up the floor to citizens' comments. Those in the room, feel free to just raise your hand. We'll call you up. If you're online, please raise your virtual hand. If you do not know how to raise your virtual hand, you can unmute yourself and I will call on you, or you can send a message in the chat and I'll be sure to call on you. So now it is open for citizens' comments on Resolution R32-2023 and Resolution R-33-2023. Are there any, Ms. Smallwood? When you come up, please state your name, and you will have 5 minutes for your public comments relating to the 2 pieces of legislation on the docket.
My name is Carolyn Smallwood. First statement I want to make is that for the resolution in reference to the payment, I did not get a copy of it. I was told by the clerk a couple of months ago, is that whatever I get in my package, it will be the same package that I get for the public hearing. So I did not bother to come and get a new package because she had already said that whatever I got on my first package would be in there, and the resolution in reference to milling was not there. So I'm moving on from there. Now, I read this resolution. First of all, I want to ask one question. When this resolution was taking place, was Councilman Herring, Ward 1 representative, involved in this?
Which resolution are you referencing?
Mine don't have a number on it, but this is the one in reference to the farmers market. The farmers market.
Oh, okay. Thank you. 32.
R32?
Councilwoman Fareed?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your
My
question?
question was Councilman Herring involved in this resolution?
All of the council members were involved in the resolution when we reviewed it at the work session, and it was sent to the council members prior to the
So
work
prior
session.
to this resolution, he was not involved in this?
Are you asking if Councilman Herring was a sponsor of?
No, I'm asking, did he have input prior to this resolution being written?
No.
Okay, so here again, y'all disrespecting my Ward 1 representative. Y'all need to stop disrespecting my Ward 1 resident, because this is the second time I done asked the same question, and I get the same answer. No, he was not informed. Y'all need to inform our Ward 1 representative about what's going on in the community. Now, reading this resolution on line 31, where is this shed going to be built?
Oh, I'm sorry, on line, what line are you?
On line 31, whereas the city is dedicated to building a sustainable region food shed. So where's the shed going to be built?
That is the farmer's market.
A shed going to be built for the farmer's market?
Now, I think you're reading it literally as like a shed in your backyard. A regional food shed is another term for a farmer's market.
It says it's dedicated to building a sustainable farmer's market shed. So you look at the word shed, it's to me, it's a place where you put stuff. Okay. If you go over to, which I'm not in agreement with that, if you go over to the second page on line 68, why are we taking $25,000 out of our reserve money to sponsor this program? A farmer's market program is that the farmers come in with their food, we buy the food, they go home. We don't give a place where we have to sponsor $25,000 to have a farmer's market. That's how a farmer's market works. So can somebody explain to me why are we taking $25,000 out of our reserve for this?
Council President.
Councilwoman Jones, and you have a minute and 30 seconds left.
But y'all, somebody need to answer my question. Y'all using my time by not answering my questions, and I got more questions.
Pardon me, Smallwood. So you've been here several times, and you can ask all of your questions up front and give us time to answer so you can take your 5 minutes. But you have elected to ask a question, then have us answer a question. That is a part of your 5 minutes. It's always
I asked a question, and y'all looked at me like I was crazy, so I was waiting for y'all to give me a response. You looked at me like I was crazy.
All right, you have 60 seconds left.
All right, here's the thing. I was in agreement with this, but now I'm not. And farmers market does not necessarily have to take the ICA card, and they are not required to be associated with SNAP. Okay. And why is that the people who have the garden have to have first priority on this project on the farmers market? And have anybody did their investigation as to how long you're going to take to get this farmers market up and ready? Because y'all saying based on 90 days after this is passed, it's supposed to be implemented. So can somebody answer my question?
Okay, you have 10 seconds left.
Hold on, let me take my 10 seconds. And I think the other question I had, and why has it been profitable to the people to have a garden?
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Smallwood.
Okay, now can they answer my questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll respond. And if anybody else wants to respond, they can. So a couple things that I'll just say. One, every council member up here is pretty smart. You know, they do a thorough job when they come up with different things. So no one comes with a resolution on a whim. So, yes, people have done their research. And I also say that the purpose of a work session is for individual council members to be able to bring a piece of resolution that's probably near and dear to their heart to the full council so that collectively we can work on it. People are given a space to agree or disagree or to work together to make a piece of legislation better. So everyone saw the piece of legislation in the work session, even if the Ward 1 member wasn't a part of the initial thought of it. Everyone had an opportunity to respond, to coordinate with different council members so that everybody could be in the fold as it relates to this resolution. And who knows, council members may agree or not agree with this. It may pass or fail, but everyone had opportunity to work on it. So those are only two comments that I have. Is there anybody else that would like to respond to anything that Ms. Smallwood said?
I would.
Yes, Ms. Smallwood.
Can I go to her first, then Ms. Jones?
Okay. And for the $25,000, we don't know as a city what it's going to take to start up the farmers market. This is just seed money for whatever the city might need to invest in to get the farmers market up off of the ground. It may not even be used, but to have that as a pot for where we can go, as where the committee, whoever's going to be on this committee, goes to set up the farmers market. It may be some permits we need from the county, or it may be some where it was thought to put the farmers market may need repaving in that area on that city property. So $25,000 is just any business or anything that you start. You're going to have some seed money.
Councilman Harry.
And Ms. Smallwood, I did do some research on farmers markets in Maryland, and they are required. A certain percentage of your farmers market vendors are required to take SNAP, WIC, and those other cards.
They are.
25% of them have to, of your farmers market have to.
Councilwoman Guillaume.
Thank you, Councilman Herring, for your response in regards to the farmers market. I do want to respond to what Ms. Smallwood stated about not letting her council member know what's going on. I just want to restate and echo what others have stated, that prior to us even submitting anything on an agenda, all of the council members are aware of what's going to be brought up. And via email, we are able to communicate with one another and update each other if we feel like we want to either be a co-sponsor or be involved. But even more importantly, when the work session takes place, that's the importance of the work session, which is where all council members, regardless of what ward they are in, are able to contribute their ideas, their thoughts, their concerns. And I would say last week when the farmers market, the idea of the farmers market was brought up via public meeting at the work session, I was beyond excited to hear all of the information that your specific ward representative, Councilman Herring, my colleague, shared and even provided edits or additional information for. So I don't like the idea or the statement of not letting your council member know what's going on when we all do that via work session and prior to us even coming to a meeting. Secondly, I feel that that same question could possibly be had for every resolution. I, for example, support wholeheartedly the resolution for the street paving that's due to happen, that Councilman Herring and I believe now Councilwoman Jones is going to co-sponsor. I'm not sure. That's brought up, but I live in Ward 3 and I wasn't consulted, nor do I need to, because I know it was brought up here, and I'm going to offer my suggestions or my commentary. And I can't speak for Councilwoman Fareed. I don't know if she was questioned, but we don't look at things like that on this side of town. So, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other?
But they didn't answer.
sorry.
They didn't answer my questions. I had questions that needed to be answered, and nobody answered any of my questions.
What?
5,000.
I asked about one of the people who already participated in the garden, the city of Glenarden Garden, going to get first preference. And I also asked, why is this going to be profitable to the people who has the garden? Nobody answered those two questions, and all of them saying this.
Thank you. And I'll just say that you can feel free to speak to any one of us. You're a regular in the office. You have all of our information. Please feel free to email those questions if we didn't get to them. But Councilwoman Fareed, if you want to take it.
Yeah, I first want to address the question of consulting with Councilman Herring prior to bringing forth legislation, because this question has been asked a couple of times. It is not our practice as council members, if we want to bring forth a resolution, to necessarily consult with other council members before doing that. Each of us up here is an elected official equally. No council member is a junior council member or subject to the authority of another council member. I personally reject wholesale the notion that I need to check with anyone before bringing forth a resolution. If I have a council member that I would like to sponsor something with, I will consult with them ahead of time, which is what I did with Councilwoman Guillaume. We worked on this resolution for many, 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 many months. I did indicate when I gave the presentation on the community garden that there would be a farmers market resolution forthcoming. And in addition, what was done was that this resolution was sent in its draft form to the entire council prior to it being finalized and presented even on the agenda for the work session. So I will say that I believe that the council has been acting in a collaborative manner, and there are things that are going to impact us citywide, impact individual wards, but the purpose of our working together is to come together for the good of the city. I am not a sponsor or co-sponsor of the paving of the streets in Ward 3, although I'm the Ward 3 representative, but I'm not going to stop that or try to derail it simply because I'm not. It's work that needs to be done, and I applaud the efforts of those who have put forth the effort to get that done. In terms of the question around the people who are community garden participants having preference, if you go back to the community garden objectives, one of those objectives was to provide an avenue for those who are looking for economic freedom to be able to have that. And so coupling the community garden participants with the ability to sell their items that they're growing in the community garden at the farmers market seems to make sense to me. And that was brought forward, and the council did not have any objection to that. So that is the reason why they would have a preference in getting that. And I think the question around the SNAP benefits was answered. But in addition to the requirement, I think just in a community where we are trying to help people as much as possible, we don't want to make the farmers market something that is prohibitive to those who are receiving public assistance in that way. We want them to have the same access to fresh fruits and vegetables as people who have six-figure incomes can afford. So that is the reason why that provision is there, to make sure that it is an equitable access for all of the citizens in Glenarden.
Thank you, Councilwoman Fareed. Are there any other citizens' comments on the two pieces of legislation we have for tonight?
One quick question.
Mr. Powell, please state your name. You'll have 5 minutes. If you would like, you can get all of your questions out.
Just like maybe one or two questions.
Okay.
My name is Anthony Powell, and I live in Ward 1. During this farmers market, will the city sell spaces to the farmers to sell their products? Like if you have it out there in the parking lot of the municipal center, will you sell spaces to the farmers to set up and sell their products?
Mm-hmm. So the way that our code is set up now, whenever there's a vendor in the city, there's a vendor fee to be paid. And so what we have here in the resolution is that fee would be waived for those who are community garden participants, but that the fee would be in place for others. We did discuss, and we can revisit it at a later time, potentially waiving that fee for all farmers if we wanted to, because we decided that this would not be an enterprise opportunity right now. So that is, something that is at our discretion always when we have vendors in the city, is to choose to waive that fee or not.
But should you have one fee for Glenarden residents and another fee for non-Glenarden residents? You're going to have a low fee for Glenarden residents, like $10, and another fee for non-Glenarden residents.
And that is something that can be established by the steering committee. So, Mr. Powell, if you are wanting to volunteer for that steering committee, we would be happy to take your application into consideration, and your ideas would be incorporated then into the rules and regulations for the farmers market.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Are there any other citizens' comments? See none in the room. Are there any online? Seeing none. Sorry, let me get myself together here. Okay. Seeing none, I just want to move on. The section for public comments is now over. The council reserves the right to go into closed session anytime during a public meeting. This is a public meeting. And the council I'm proposing the council go into closed session pursuant to annotated Code of Maryland State Government Article 10-508A. The council by majority vote may retire to executive or closed session at any time during the meeting. Should the council retire to executive closed session, the chair will announce the reasons and a report will be issued at a future meeting disclosing the reasons for such a closed session. And I am proposing that the council adjourns to a closed session to discuss personnel matters that may affect one or more individuals. Did I cover that, Council Clerk? Thank you. Having said that, I make a motion that the council adjourns to a closed session. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the open portion of this meeting is now closed. Thank you. We'll give members in the audience time to exit, and then we will start our closed portion of the meeting. Thank you, and we'll see you guys next week at our regular session on Monday, April the 17th at 7:30.